Hi and welcome all you budding accordionists. As promised, this is Accordion Fastrack 12, and you may notice this is a slightly smaller accordion to my other Excelsior, my white one, and I thought I'd give it a finger out the box. It's not a bad sounding accordion, you know. It's got a nice bass, and the treble, it's only a 2 voice. Still, anyway, to get on with Fastrack 12, I did do a number 12 video, but it wasn't so much on the Fastrack accordion lessons for older people. As what these lessons are, as I've explained before, these lessons are for older people. You know, if you're a younger person, then you must go to a proper one-to-one live accordion teacher. But for us older people, perhaps you just want to pick it up and play a tune. Maybe you want to play Happy Birthday, or you just want to go and play Roll Out the Barrel. So that's what it's for. It's just for a bit of fun. But if you're a serious person who really wants to play the accordion professionally, you know, you may have real, maybe you've got your sights set high, then go to a teacher. But if you're determined just to teach yourself, well, let's carry on. What I'm going to talk about today is general things. The lessons so far, if you've been following the accordion Fastrack, you should be able to play your bass and hold down your chords. Now if you can do that, you're really well on the way. You can slow that right down, you see. You can practice your chords. The chord of C, which of course is C, E, G. And we said before, sometimes it's easier to invert a chord, which means to turn it upside down. So instead of playing the C there, we'll play that C there. Yes? Instead of that C, we'll play that C. But we'll also play the E and the G. So it's like that. Get these fingers out of the way. Really, when you play the keyboard, you should play the keyboard as if you've got a ball in your hands, like a tennis ball. And you should play as far in as you comfortably can. But for the purposes of the video, and to make it as clear as possible, I'm keeping my fingers out the way as much as I can. So there we've got the chord of C in its first inversion and its second inversion. Now let's look at the chord of F. The chord of F is made up of F, A and C. Now we can invert that. Instead of playing that C there, we can play this C here. So we'll play F, A, move that C down to here, and that becomes F again. So there we have the chord of C. Move these 2 fingers up for F. Next, the chord of G. The G, the B and the D. That's G. And you can invert that. I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the way here, so if I make any little blunders, you'll have to excuse it. Right, so let's see what we can do with that. So we've got the chord of C, of F, of G, and you can invert these. So that's C, that's C, that's C, that's G, the G, the B, and the D, and the B, the D, and the G. That's in its second inversion. So when you play the chord of the C major chord, that's like, there's not really any emotion there. But if you drop the third note, remember you've got the root, third and the fifth. If you drop the third note by a semitone in any major chord, it then turns that chord into a very basic minor chord. So we've got the chord of C. Now we're going to drop the third, which is that one there. Listen to the difference. Now it can make it sound sad, or it can make it sound a bit more dramatic. It can make it sound a bit mysterious. Now that tremolo sound is done with the left hand. Sounds like one of the old Leslie cabinet speakers, which had a rotating drum was rotating, would be thrown out. So when the straight sound of it started with the note that you played usually on the Hammond organ, as the drum started to rotate, the Leslie sound is typical of the sound that you hear from Blackpool Tower, for instance. It's a very old sound, it's a very nostalgic sound actually. Anyway, to get back to chords, because I'm going off the subject, so now let's move on to another chord. Let's take the chord of G, for instance. G minor, we get once again by dropping the third, which on G, remember you've got the root, which is the first, 1, 2, 3, drop the third, a semitone, so we go like this. Okay, there's your G minor. Now you can do that with every chord. If you just drop the third a semitone, the next note to it, whether it be black or white, if you drop it a semitone, the third note, it will make that chord a minor chord. So let's go on to sevenths. The seventh chord is used for taking us back. Usually I use it myself to take us back to the root chord, or whatever key the music's in. So if we're in C, if we're playing in the key of C, so let's say we play the chord of C, F, G, F, G, G7, trying to get my fingers out of the way. Now listen to the different sound. Here's in the root position G. If you add a seventh to the chord of G, what you have to do is on the root note, this is the chord of G, so the root note is G, the tonic note is G. If you add the note, a whole note below it, remember each note is a semitone, half, play the note one tone below the root note, the tonic note, the G. So there, that's the note a whole tone below G. Let's add that. Now that's a bad habit I've got into, playing two notes with one finger. But that's just the way I play. Can you tell the difference? Add the 7. It gives you that feeling of about to tip, it's about to drop back into the slot, because it is. So there we are. So if you're playing in C, now in the key of C, you will at least use C, F and G, possibly G minor, D minor, but let's not confuse the issue. C, F, G, and its seventh chord, adding that seventh there to bring us back into our key. Do you get the feeling of it? those are sevenths. That applies to every chord, which is the root chord or the tonic note. If you're in the key of C, it'll be G seventh. If you're in D, it'll be A seventh. If you're in A, it will be E seventh. If you're in F, it'll be C seventh. If you're in B flat, it'll be F. If you're in E flat, it'll be B flat seventh. And the root, what you take to map out your chords, is always the same. The root position, drop the third note, a semitone, you'll get the minor. To get the seventh, drop, if there's the chord of G, drop the tonic a whole, or add it, I should say, not drop it, add the seventh there. You can invert it, of course, and add it up here, and that's not inverting it, that's in the root position. You can add both an octave apart and play a strong chord. By the way, when you play the root and the root and the fifth of a chord, it's called a power chord. It's a stronger sound. So there we are. Anyway, that's what we'll do with today, and I'm going to show you some on the bass now. So where are these notes on the bass? Okay, there we are. We've got our 6 rows of buttons. The button with the dent in it, or the hole in it, that's our C. The one in the next column, row, is that a column? Row. Anyway, so you've got C, the C chord. That's what you should have learned by now. And remember, never do this with the bass. If you do that, you should be shot. It's as simple as that. Right, so let's have a look. So we've got our C tonic, the major, the fundamental, and you've got your chord, C major chord. The next one along, bringing this finger across, and remember, I use the 2-3 system. You can do this with the 4-3, just like this. But I use the 2 fingers 2 and 3 system. Right, here we go. So that's the C, the major, the minor is the next one along, you see. Come, bring this finger back another bit more to that row. That's your minor chords. Bring it again, another row across, and it becomes your 7th. So we'll go 6, 7, back into our key of F. You sometimes find that in a lot of tunes, even basic songs, when they were first composed, even the simplest of songs, All Belongs to Goes Go, Daisy Daisy, The Bull and Bush, Bless 'Em All, stuff like that, they've all got more than 3 chords. And if you buy the complete score, you'll find that it's got a lot more chords to it. But for our purposes, for your own pleasure, which this is all about, and for playing your happy birthday, you roll out the barrel, a long way to Tipperary, pack up your troubles in your old kit bag, you'll find that you can easily get away with 3 chords. You can do it with 2 chords, but it sounds pretty boring. So 3 chords. Now let's just run over that again to make sure we've got it. So there's your C fundamental bass, the one with the hole in it. Then C chord, then C minor, which is the next row across. Then our C 7th. There we are. These are the diminished chords. There's no, for your level of where you're setting your sights at, if you're following this course, where you're setting your sights at, you really don't need to bother with the diminished chords. The very first row here these are alternative. They are placed here. They're the same as the fundamental bass, but they're placed here for ease to save you having to move around the keyboard. We'll come on to that at another time. It's mainly used for swapping from one chord to another. It's fun to work them out yourself. Listen to something playing and get the notes on the keyboard, and then transfer it to the bass just by finding that note on the bass which is the same on the keyboard. And you can work out your own little bass runs whichever way you like. So there we are. That's the lesson for today, folks. The other thing which I was going to talk about in this Accordion Cafe Fastrack 12 was really the more practical side of doing any sort of work, whether it be for fun or if you're going to paddle your toes in the water of becoming a professional. And I suppose you could say there's an A to Z really.